Can I ask you a question?
Okay, everybody. Well, greetings, everyone, and welcome to Global Cleveland's 4th Annual Sister Cities Conference for 2022. This is our third and last day of the conference and is focused on business and economic development. My name is Sergio Robles, and I'm Assistant Professor of Marketing at Baldwin-Wallace University. And I'm the moderator for the supply chain from mines to the marketplace, from soil to the sale panel. First of all, thank you for attending the conference, and many thanks to our panelists for joining us. Additionally, thank you for all the sponsors and donors who've made this Sister Cities Conference possible this year. Our sponsors are the Eaton Corporation, Swagelok, the Cleveland Hungarian Development Panel, the University of Akron, Rotary Club of Cleveland, the Lithuanian American Community, the Cleveland Chapter, Slovenian Museum and Archives, the City of Cleveland, and the Cleveland Public Library. So today we have panelists representing Cleveland in Ohio, the United States, and Vicenza, Italy. First, our panelists are Lisa McKay, and Lisa serves as the Director of Global Supply Chain at Swagelok. She's worked in various roles in the supply chain for about 21 years at Swagelok and previously at Avery Dennison. She is a John Carroll graduate with an MBA and an undergrad in logistics. We also have Ms. Germaine Barreto as the Director of the Area Internationalization of Made in Vicenza, which is the promotional bureau of the Chamber of Commerce of Vicenza. The Chamber collaborates with companies for relationships with foreign countries through shows and commercial missions and business-to-business relationships for international businesses. She is an economist by profession and has been serving in her role for about 18 years. She graduated with an economics major from the University of Economics in Uruguay. So before starting the panel, Ms. Germaine Barreto will give a short presentation on the economy of Vicenza.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Lisa, and thank you, Sergio Robles. Thank you for this invitation that allows us to present briefly the reality of Vicenza. Vicenza is the city of Palladio. Vicenza is World Heritage Site declared by UNESCO since 1994. Is known in the world as the city of Andrea Palladio, the great architect who lived in the 15th century and who left an incredible artistic sign on each one of his works. His works are majority of his works are in the region Veneto in Italy, and in particular in the Vicentino area. Vicenza, productive heart of northeast of Italy, is located at 16 kilometers of Venice, 14 kilometers from Verona, 200 kilometers from Milan, and 500 kilometers from Rome. Is located also in a special position in Europe because it's located at 450 from Munich, Germany, and 630 from Vienna. So you understand it's a special city. I have data, but I speak briefly about it because I have a little time less than I think we have. It's important to indicate that Vicenza is, Vicenza in special Italy, but Vicenza is characterized for a system economic with a lot of little and medium companies. And this is, for example, a number of registered local units in Vicenza is 90,000 companies. This data implicates that if you understand the population of Vicenza is near 1 million, so this number indicates that the rat company's population is very high, is one company every almost 9 inhabitants. It's a number very, very big also in Italy, but in the world. Indicates this is a lot of companies for population. It's important to indicate, for example, that the foreign companies is 90% of the total, the woman companies is 19%, and the handcraft companies is 28%. This is an important number because indicated that I said that the system economic in Vicenza and also in Italy is integrated by a lot of companies, a lot of small and medium companies. Vicenza have a high inclination to export by SME companies, small and medium companies, and have a good presence in the foreign markets. Vicenza is the province of the records because you understand have 1 million people, but regarding export, Vicenza ranks third along the Italian cities, just behind Milan and Turin, which are among the major European financial and industrial areas. The system of Vicenza is a dynamic and well-structured production and business fabric, and is strong in numbers and careful with quality, leading characters of the internal markets and within a strategic aptitude for export. It's one of the areas in Italy with the most diversified production in Italy. So we said that in Vicenza, everything is produced except ships and cars, and of these are produced the components. So for the topic we speak today with the supply chain, is important this concept because Vicenza produce all kinds of products but not have the raw materials. So it's important, it's very, very important to confirm and to have a secure system to have the raw materials. More than 70% of companies in Vicenza have foreign relations. It's a little province, but with a lot of relationships with the foreign countries. It's the highest export rate in Veneto. Veneto is the capital, is known because the capital is Venice, but have 5 provinces, and Vicenza has the 30% of the export of Veneto. The export is based on industrial goods and machineries, also products high technological of an important added value, constituted by the design, the style, and the quality. That is the characteristic for Vicenza, but also for Italy. Is known for this characteristic. It's one of the most industrialized areas, not only in Italy, but also in Europe. Vicenza is also a world leader in several sectors. Other characteristic is a strong presence of handicraft. Like I said, it's 25% of the companies are handicraft companies, and all over the province and in the historical cluster and sector. The economy of Vicenza, like we talk after about your questions, is characterized for the construction of clusters of districts for each productions. Another characteristic of Vicenza is the consolidation of some specialization with medium-high technological innovation. Multi-sectoral companies has in the territory presence of a very developed network of contracting, strong inclination to business relations. The sectors of Vicenza, because like I said, Vicenza produce all kinds of products, but especially produce furniture and furnishing, fashion, textile and clothing, food, gold and jewelry, that is in this sector, Vicenza is leader in the world. Subcontracting, building and constructions, mechanics and electronics, that in this sector is also leader in the world. Environment and renewable energy, and graphics and communication, allows, and also production with leader. So it's a special situation because Vicenza produce a lot of things, a lot of kind of products, without have the raw materials to produce it. We analyzed the data of the 2022, the situation international, the world, the prices of the energy, the prices of the raw material, the problem of the transportation, obviously generate difficult to Vicenza. And this, in this case, the data indicated that the second quarter of the year continue to growing, but with a reduced intensity. In the first quarter, the economy grew 3.5%, but in the second, in comparison with the first, is growing 0.5%. So the expansion phase of production continue in the second quarter of the year, but after a strong, but less quickly. Production growth 3% in the first quarter, compared with the first quarter of 2021. So this is the big and quickly presentation about Vicenza. Our interest is support the growth of Vicenza export primary through the increase of exporting companies and making companies aware of the opportunities offered by international markets one-to-one. It's important to contact for information activities, and this is very important, for example, for this panel, because for us it's important to know the information about the other countries and the other cities, like you have in this moment. So if you like to be, we beginning to speak about your answer. It's okay.
All right, thank you, Ms. Barreto. Let's move on to the panel discussion. So first question is for you. Just briefly tell us about yourself, your organization, and the business environment.
Our organization is, like I said, 70% of the company's export in Vicenza. So many years ago, 30 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce of Vicenza decided to create Made in Vicenza to help the companies to export, to support the growth of Vicenza export, and to organize the relation, the Vicenza with the foreign countries. Important for us is not only to sell to the foreign countries, it's important to internalizations, to control the relations, to know how is to who we sell and in what conditions are the products selling the products of Vicenza. We organize, for example, we organize we organize fairs, shows in the world, the presence of the Vicenza's company in these fairs. We organize incoming the buyers to Italy to find our sectors of production. This kind of incoming is sectorial, and we organize also mission economics in the countries. So it's important to think, for example, to organize to Cleveland a mission, an economic mission with to find buyers to buyers.
Okay. I have 3 more questions for you, Ms. Barreto, and then I'll have some questions for Lisa. All right, so next, the question I wanted to ask you, we have a strong diplomatic relationship between the United States and Italy, and even Vicenza and Cleveland. So how do we take advantage of that, of the economy? And that's the first question. Second question, how can we create a model that is benefited to both cities?
The Italian economic model, and in particular Vicenza model, like I say, is an industrial sector, an organization with this district, with cluster sectoral cluster. So it's important to maintain, to conserve an information and relationships about Cleveland and Vicenza, to have information about how each of one produce and how each of one can sell to the other. The Italian economic model is a small and medium-sized companies with a great link to the territory, but I think it's the same situation that Cleveland, that I know Cleveland have a lot of companies, small companies and medium companies. So the economic models are similar. So it's important to be very connected and to find a sector who is possible to work together.
Okay, very good. Next question for you. There is competition between the United States and China. How do we involve Italian companies to start trade relationships?
Well, this is a very complicated issue, because what you know perfectly, this is not only a problem, an economic problem, it's a political problem. Obviously, the relationships between China and United States and the very important force in the trade is difficult to enter in this situation. But it's possible, like I said in the first question, one way to commercially involve Italy is through corporate commercial agreements or joint ventures, and in particular through direct investment in Italy or direct investment Italian in United States. The relation between China and the importance of the China and United States is so big. So to introduce Italian, it's possible to work together in a joint venture or in an investment in Vicenza.
Okay, very good. And just the last question for you. We do not have a free trade agreement with Italy or the EU. Does that make a difference in the business trade relationship or network between the organizations in those cities? That's the first part. And the second part is, how will the FTA support organizations like yours in the global market?
Well, many years ago, first I work Made in Vicenza. I work in free trade negotiations. So I think there is very, very important, because open the relations with the countries. It's impossible to, like you say, it's impossible for Italy to sign a free trade agreement with the United States. Which is impossible because it's needed to sign the agreement with United States European Union. But obviously the situation it's produced a global importance because an free trade agreement between United States and the European Union changed the reality of the world, of the trade agreement of the all the world. But it's important how is the difference for us, for Made in Vicenza, for example, if it is a FTA between United States and European Union, it's possible to do easier to attend fairs, the organization of incoming and commercial missions, because it's a big incentive for companies and simplifies the movements of goods, people, and investment. But unforgettable, it's not possible to sign an FTA. But obviously, the existence of the agreement open not only the trade open not only the relation for trade, but also the relation for cultural, for other things, for investment, for protection of the industrial directs is different. It's very, very important to have an agreement between United States and European Union.
Okay, all right, very good. Just to kind of draw in, Lisa, do you have any comments you'd like to add maybe on some of the things she shared with us, Jermaine?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, I don't know if this was luck or a coincidence, but Vicenza was the first city I've ever visited in Italy a long time ago. And the reason being is that Swagelok, which we produce fluid system components for highly corrosive, high pressure type environments, and the qualities of our raw material are very, very important to us. So one of our largest raw material suppliers is actually located in Vicenza. And I've been there a bunch of times since, and they're a really good partner to us. Around raw materials, I just wanted to make a comment around the FTA conversation. So, you know, to your point, we don't have an agreement between countries, but what Swagelok has done in light of the 232 tariffs that were imposed a couple years ago on European stainless steel that we import, we did two different things. So we worked with the US government to get exclusions for those tariffs. And basically you have to provide as a company reasons around, you know, why you can't find sources domestically. So we pursued that option. But additionally, we in Cleveland here have a pretty large free trade zone, and we leverage that zone to not pay duties on any of our imports as long as we export out a finished good. So just a different way to look at, you know, how can we work together trade-wise? There's different ways around that besides just an FTA between the two countries.
Yes, this is, I think, like you, that the situation, for example, in the supply chain is special for Italy because, like you said, and I said, Italian produce a lot of kind of products, but don't have the raw materials. Is the most important countries, for example, one of the most important countries to produce furnitures, and don't have the raw materials to do it. Is the Vicenza in particular is, like you say, because you know, is an important center for produce jewelry, but they don't have gold. So and this is the situation in all the products, because producing clothing but don't have the textile, produce the chairs but not have the wooden. So it's the supply chain is a problem, and it is verified. There is important after the pandemic situation, and also with the war, but in special with the pandemic situation, because it's important for Italy to reshoring the produce in Italy, and also if it is impossible, to produce, to have the components nearest of Italy, but also to have an agreement with Cleveland. It's possible to have raw materials in a sure way.
Okay, very good. Lisa, I'm going to direct this question to you. What kind of strategic importance does a supply chain have for our region?
The supply chain, like I say, is essential. It's essential for Vicenza, and it's essential for Italy, both internally and externally. Internally, the economic model of the industrial districts of the cluster, specialized production. Each company has part of its production within the cluster. Vicenza, like Italy in general, is characterized by great creative quality and design, but our products such as jewelry, furniture, clothing, leather goods, machines, and more are creation with imported raw materials. So the relation with Cleveland and the other cities and the other cities, sister cities, is important to confirm the possibility to buy the raw materials. The international situation complicate all of this situation. The pandemic is developing a lot of the reshoring or secure the nearest supply. In this case, Cleveland is not near, but it's possible to sign agreement to have the raw materials in a secure situation.
Okay, Lisa, do you have a comment you'd like to add about this?
Yeah, I agree with the commentary. So, when we talk about strategic importance of supply chains between the two sister cities, but, maybe bigger into Italy in general, our supply chains, like I had mentioned, we procure a lot of raw material from Vicenza specifically. And again, we leverage those, that free trade zone that I mentioned. We also have a pretty large tubing supplier in Italy. And additionally to that, we get a lot of our capital equipment from Northern Italy as well. So a lot of work between, our two countries, as far as Swagelok supply chain is concerned. And I would mention too, there was a comment on, energy prices in Russia and, Europe's dependence on them for energy. And we are seeing that as well with inflation. Obviously, it takes a lot of energy to create, steel and melt metal. And we're seeing some inflation as a result of that. So I would say just global supply chain wise, the Russia energy, how that relates to prices in Europe is something that's on our radar. And then additionally too, with China, and obviously the US government recently came out with some additional sanctions with China and semiconductors specifically. And as a result, these semiconductor companies are looking to move chip manufacturing into Europe, into the US. Based on what I read recently, it seemed like Intel was looking at investing potentially in Northern Italy as well. So I feel like similarly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, just like the Intel plant that's going in Columbus, that's a whole new economy, right, for us in Ohio. And, what does that look like for us? And maybe what that looks like depending on where they put that plant, if it's close to Vicenza or not, and maybe going through similar things in a new industry for both of us.
Yes, obviously the situation is in both sense, but for Italy, the situation of Russian energy is obviously most difficult that for you, because the relation with Russia for the energy in the case of Italy is biggest, is in Italy, and especially the relation for the energy is enormous, because all of 50% of the import of energy of Italy, they did, because not in this moment, they did for the Russian and also for Ukraine. So the situation for the war between Russia and Ukraine is put the European countries in a very difficult situation, in especially Italian and Germany. But in Italy, if you think if is produced with gas, also, for example, also the energy is produced with gas. So it's important to find, if it is possible about you, to find new possibilities to buy energy, and the other countries, not the Russia. In this moment, the relation with Russia is reduced at minimums in the history, but it's important to resolve this problem, because it's an energy war. It's an energy war.
All right, very good. Before we move on to the audience questions, I have one more. This is about the diaspora, and I don't know, Lisa or Jermaine, if you want to answer this question, but how can we have more exchanges or international businesses or profitable exchanges, given we have Italian Americans living in Northeast Ohio or Ohio in general?
Well, this is a topic special for me, because in my case, I was born in Uruguay. I live in Italy, and I have the nationality, the Italian nationality, but I am cittadino Italian, but I live here since 25 years. So I think it's important to understand that to be Italian in Cleveland I try to say, when one is abroad, I can speak with knowledge that I said, but have Italian citizenship, I think it is important to maintain ties and create groups like Vicentini in the world, for example. It's very highest the importance of this kind of group, but that work together, creating companies that market with a country of origin. Unfortunately, the fact of having nationality in itself does not give guarantees and benefits. If the fact of to be Italian in Cleveland don't be the same that to live in Italian. I think it's important to maintain relationships with the authorities of Italian in Ohio about I think it's a Chamber of Commerce Italian of Italian Ohio, of so near, and be continue relation with the work they do. But it's important, for example, the Italian in Cleveland can vote, and this situation implicated that they can give their opinion about Italian, because it's Italian allowed to vote in the abroad. This is not for other countries. For example, I can't vote for Uruguay in Italian. But it's important to use the contact with the parents, with the family, to create relationships, to know the possibilities to trade with Italian, or to trade or to create cultural groups also, not only for trade. I consider that we must maintain with the institution present in the country, in particular with the Near East Italian-American chambers, and thus would be aware of contacts. This is allowed to know the different missions. For example, the Italian who arrives to Cleveland, to Ohio, and this give more opportunities for the people who are family in Italy.
Okay, Lisa, do you have a comment you'd like to add?
I do not. I think Jermaine is far more versed than I am on that topic.
Okay, well, we'll move on now to taking some questions from the audience. If we have any.
The other have questions?
Just waiting to see if there's any coming in.
You receive questions?
No. So I just one more shout out. Anybody in the audience have any questions?
Or I am very clearly, or not, or they didn't understand me.
No, I'm sure they understood you. Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess that go ahead and concludes our session. As much as we would like to discuss more, we have to wrap this up. We'd like to thank our panelists for this great discussion and for sharing their expertise. Thank you very much to the audience for your attention. Finally, many thanks to all the sponsors and donors for making this conference possible. Our sponsors are, again, the Eaton Corporation, Swagelok, Cleveland Hungarian Development Panel, the University of Akron, the Rotary Club of Cleveland, the Lithuanian American Community of the Cleveland Chapter, Slovenian Museum and Archives, the City of Cleveland, and the Cleveland Public Library. At 2:30, we're going to have a new set of the last session, which is a City Highlights Gdansk presentation from the delegations from Gdansk. I hope you'll join us and enjoy the last session before the closing plenary. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for giving us the possibility to present Vicenza.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.